There she is.
Jeff, put my name up there, please.
Happy to do it. Go ahead, guys.
Okay. So we're going to call to order the Franklin Township Pro Board meeting for July 12th, 2023. It looks like we have several people here that are Paul Smiley and maybe Jim Johnson down there. Do we have any comments from either of you before we move on to approving meeting minutes from last month?
None from me, Andrea.
Okay.
No, me as well. Thank you.
Okay, good. Let's move on to the approval of the meeting minutes for June. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from June?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So maybe did you comment how many are in attendance for the pro board? I think there's.
I did not. So it looks like we maybe are just missing Heather. So it's you, me, 1, 2, Mary, Kyle, Bob, Jen.
Was
We
that
have 6. We have 6.
We have 6.
Okay.
Sorry.
So was any, and so everyone voted for the minutes, I guess?
It sounded like it to me.
Any opposed? You have to ask that.
Okay, sorry. Any opposed? Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, you're doing good.
Okay, good. All right, great. And it sounds like we don't have any comments from Paul or Jim at this point. Forgive me if I miss any steps in the process of kind of going through the agenda today, seeing as it's my first running my first meeting. On the order of old business, the first topic of discussion is the FSA and the Crossin Park referendum topic. So I guess a lot has happened since our last meeting. There was a Board of Supervisors meeting where the FSA proposed several things to the Board of Supervisors for the upcoming hunting season. I think the Bamshire Preserve, their proposal for that passed, and then the topic of hunting in the back lower section of Crossin Park was left up to, I guess, the Board of Supervisors. They voted against it, but mentioned putting an item on the upcoming ballot for this particular topic. Let's see. Since that meeting, I guess we've heard from the township solicitor who advised that a resident nor the township could, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, could propose that referendum or write how does that, can you clarify that for us?
That is correct. The township solicitor contacted me the next day and said that that cannot be a referendum question. He had sent me a booklet from, I think it's the state, that I had forwarded to Andrea. And it's very specific on the topics that can be a referendum question. He was saying that is not one of them.
Oh, so Jeff, you're saying it's the topic that's not allowed. Is that what you're saying?
The topic of hunting, or?
It cannot be a referendum question to eliminate all hunting from township-owned properties or to designate certain areas and take away other areas. Again, that's what Mr. Pompo told me. So if the whole pro board would like a copy of that book, I can certainly forward it to the rest of the members if you wish.
I did send it along to everyone.
Yeah, Jeff, I wonder if there's a misunderstanding because I know we all know we clearly are not authorized as a township to regulate hunting on private property. But so I guess I'm not clear. Is it his objection because of the hunting rules in Pennsylvania or because of the rules on what a referendum can and can't be about?
About what the rules of what a referendum can and cannot be
Okay.
about.
Okay. Well, I haven't read the booklet, so I'll read through that.
Okay.
I have though, and I didn't see anything about hunting.
It's because it doesn't specifically mention that it's allowed, the way it was explained to me. If it's not specifically mentioned that it is allowed in that section 3, Mr. Pompo is telling me that it's not allowed.
Does anybody have section 3 you can share?
I'm gonna open it up right now. I don't know that I could share it on my computer screen though very quickly.
This looks like, I'm saying looks like, is going to be, from what I understand today from our chairperson, a topic on July 19th's board meeting, where the board will be able to ask our solicitor questions regarding this.
Okay, but so I guess for the pro, we just want to make sure there's nothing we're supposed to be doing to help them prepare for it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to be sitting down waiting. But if you're saying it's not allowed, then we have nothing we can prepare.
And Paul, again, that's what I was informed by Mr. Pompo. So before, I'm saying this respectfully, burning 2 or 3 hours, then, I would talk about this at the next board meeting. This is something Mr. Gerstenhaber wants to do.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so maybe we move, if everyone's okay with it, maybe we move along from this topic. I think we could, I think we need more information before we really delve into it more or, figure out a path forward. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Old business, crossing mowing schedule and placing stone around the trees. We had talked about doing it later in the fall. I don't want to forget about that. I think Heather had mentioned possibly being able to help with that. And I forget who it was, but at the last meeting, somebody else mentioned that they could maybe bring a tractor over there. It could have been one of the neighbors.
Thought it was Betsy.
Yeah, Betsy.
That was Betsy or her son-in-law?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't have to wait till the fall. I mean, what the grass height I saw today was pretty reasonable. You could put the stone in today, but every week we wait, it gets harder because when the grass is 2 feet tall, you really can't do it.
Okay. Okay.
But it was kind of Heather's project, but she's not on tonight. So I don't think Betsy is either. And then it's really a 3-person job. The volunteer that lives at the edge of the park there, Noah, he's always willing to help out there, and he lives close by. So
Okay.
if Heather or Betsy, either one, could get a tractor, I think we could get the shovel power. You need 1 tractor driver and 2 shovelers.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep this on the list and maybe talk to Heather about it and Betsy, if I see her up at the park, I'll chat with her about it. Bamshire trail machine needed. Did you get anywhere with that, Paul, or is it just kind of sitting
No,
there?
I've got
All right.
nothing. But
That's fine.
thanks for the reminder. I wonder, I see we have Matthew on it. Is that Matt Thompson or is that somebody else, Matt?
I have no idea.
He just joined a minute or two ago.
Yeah, well, I guess it's not Matt Thompson. He would have an update maybe. Okay.
Let's see, time sensitive, tubes need replaced over at Goodwin Preserve. That's been on our to-do list for a little while. Can you tell me what, do they simply need placed? Did you say, Paul, that we need zip ties or something like that to secure them? I don't know if it's
That's
a project I can take my kids to do or something.
It is, yeah, actually, it's, yeah. But I was gonna ask if Jeff knows that if the pile of tubes is still laying in the parking lot, does anybody know? I haven't driven by there lately and noticed.
Oh, they do not. I just had them moved to the township office because grass was growing up around them. Just started becoming an eyesore, but what was in that pile is under the lean-to. It wasn't thrown away.
Well, that's great. So Andrew, to answer your question, the tubes that are there, we would use those used tubes that Jeff just talked about. Jeff, any idea how many were there? It's like,
Oh, I'd be struggling 6 to 8, maybe.
No, so not many. Okay.
I thought it was more like 20, but
And maybe Paul. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure.
So the idea though is the thinner trees need protection, like less than 3 inches in diameter. You would take the split tube, just wrap it around the tree and poke a hole in it. There should be a hole already, but poke a hole if there's not, and just put a zip tie through the holes. You don't want to put a zip tie around the tree because then that'll, as the tree grows, it'll strangle the tree.
Okay.
The idea is the zip tie would then tear out of the tube, and not hurt the tree.
Okay.
Once they're over 3 inches, 3 or 4 inches, tubes can come off and the tree's on its own. The deer rubbing it won't kill it. But you can see today there's a lot of deer damage on those trees. And what happens is it's a hollow spot. And as the tree grows up, it ends up having a big hollow bottom. And it doesn't grow to its full potential and gets diseases or whatever.
Okay. I'm going to put that on the list for myself.
Yeah, and just be careful if it hasn't been mowed in a while. There's usually a lot of stinging nettle on this side of the creek, and if you walk across the creek, it might be a little better for you.
Okay.
You just have to have rubber boots on to walk through the creek there.
Okay. All right.
Just to be clear, we have to bring our own zip ties. Is that true?
Unless Jeff has some, but yeah.
If Paul can email me the length, I'll make sure you get them.
Awesome. Thanks.
I have a ton you can use.
What's that?
I got a ton of zip ties.
Yeah, and they only need to be like 6 to 10 inches, thin.
I think I have a lot. I think I have quite a few.
If you don't, I have plenty.
And there's
Okay.
you only need like one zip tie per
Per
tube,
tube,
because its natural shape is to be around the tree. You just kind of hold it in on there from blowing off or something.
Okay, I understand. The next item is, it looks like a repeat. My apologies on that. It said that it was putting the stone around the trees at Cross and Park, so that was a repeat. Let's see, new business. Fall Fun Day is coming up September 16th, and we've been asked to set up a table, help with the event. And so I think we need to brainstorm, what we can do there. I don't know if anyone has any ideas. If the Pro Board has done any sort of table setups like this in the past. No.
If I can just interject, it's Dawn. Sorry, I have a ghostly figure. I hope that's not shades of anything to come tomorrow. But anyway, Stefan, myself, and Stephanie have been the ones, Stacy, I'm sorry, have been the ones really spearheading the fun day. And we've got a lot going on. As most of you know, I'll be out of commission. I don't know how long, starting tomorrow. But I hope to be at the meeting on the 19th. But if you have any questions, Stefan Torres and Stacy at the office are the two that have all the things that are going on, and Jeff is working on our page. So all the information we have so far should be on his page. Do you have that up now, Jeff?
I started on that today. I finally had some time. There's certainly room for improvement. But I think the thought was behind the pro is if they wanted to have their own table and hand out any information. I don't know what that information would be, but if you have it, I would gather it together and probably start with Stefan and our group to look at it, and then it would go to the board. All committees would have to do that. Paul Lagasse from Historic and Harb will do it. I have no idea if the FSA is going to do it.
We'll be there.
And I'm not sure who, and the board may have their own table, the board of supervisors.
Is the township gonna have a general table that we
Yes.
can all just share?
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like, do we have to each?
yes.
And-
What, I'm sorry, you can't see me. What we're trying to do, Paul, for the township table is meet the supervisors, but we're also getting people that can't do tables, like some of our businesses and some of our donors, to give their information. So unfortunately, the thought of the township table itself is going to be full. What we were hoping from the pro is to have maps of the trails, just other things that we're doing. The healing garden ladies, and we've all been working on stuff for the healing garden. We're going to do a plant swap, so we're going to have something too. So just the idea was that the whole township table was going to be we're hoping to make money from businesses giving us stuff, and they needed to have their propaganda to go out too.
Yeah, I think we could definitely put together maps of the different preserves in the township. We might bring the pamphlet or the mailer that we sent out for open space,
absolutely.
conservation. I think we should
Right.
just kind of, and I don't know that you need copies of everything for everyone. Like, you don't have to go
Oh,
with,
no.
but just so that the information is there for people to look at, maybe a couple copies in case somebody was interested in the conservation
Right.
aspect of it. But
One thing we should do is set up a sign up for a volunteer group to try to get
That's a
people
good
to just volunteer, so that when we need something, we can be like, oh, these people
You
need to be
go,
notified,
Mary.
kind of thing.
And-
I like
and
that.
For the maps, I like having a big map printed out. Jeff has a big printer, and if we could add a QR code on it, and I don't know how to do that, but if you could add a QR code on it that takes you to the real map at the township website, then you don't have to print handouts out. People would have it on their phone where the real maps are.
That's
And
an
I've done
awesome
that.
idea.
And I've done that, Paul. I'm sure Mary's probably more experienced than me, but I've done it on a limited basis with a QR code. But try and get an idea for the group of what size map or maps you want and what of. And I'm,
There is
and I'm happy
already-
to try. And I'm happy to try and do that.
There's already a QR code on the Crossin Park map that's posted at the park. There's a QR code that will send you to the map.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Good. We need
And
one on each one then. So I would imagine, Jeff, you just print out, what is a standard piece of paper? We don't want anything special, but is it like a 24 by 24? Is that a standard printout? Like whatever.
24 by 36 roughly.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So do you want it of Crossin? Do you want one of each preserve?
I think we would do one of each preserve.
Yeah. We want to educate them on the preserves. Yeah.
No, I'm asking. So
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm getting excited. I was agreeing with you. Yeah, each preserve.
Can I just ask a timing question? So Jeff, you're saying all of this needs to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. So obviously we would need to have everything that we're going to present it on the 16th, we'd have to present to the Board of Supervisors for the August meeting. So that kind of moves the timeline up a lot.
But wait, do we have to have each map printed, or can we just say we're gonna present maps of the preserves?
I don't think you have to have this is my opinion. The board may think differently. I think if you say what's on the website, Crossing Park, Bannershire Preserve,
Yeah,
Clay
yeah,
Crescent.
all right. Yeah, it seems, wow, I'm a little surprised we have to pre-approve everything, but that's fine. We can.
No, I
we can-
don't think it's that complicated. I
It's-
think we're just trying to have a handle. This is more of an inaugural thing, so we're just trying to get a handle of what everybody's going to do.
So in the
Yeah.
August meeting, Dawn, all Andrea would have to present at the meeting is like the maps, the brochure, and the volunteer sheet, and just like kind of have like a rough outline of what we're gonna have on the table.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Just,
Okay.
we're just kind of trying to get a rough idea of what everybody's doing and, preparing. So that's all.
Okay, August will be here soon, so that's why I just wanted to make sure, because
Hey, you
Obviously.
should be trying to plan the whole festival.
no, yeah, I'm sure.
So we have maps, we have the brochure for open space. Anything else? Sign up sheet, anything
The
else?
volunteer sign up sheet.
Anything else?
Maybe just a list of a couple of the projects, like maybe have could we prepare a flyer of just future, of the actual future volunteer things that we're looking to do?
Yep, that'd be great.
So, I was thinking if the FSA is going to be there promoting hunting in the parks, then I would like to have a statement about hunting in the parks from the pros perspective. Would that be fair?
I mean, I think it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Dawn, you have to tell us what, kind of what direction, the FSA is going to take on it. I mean, if they're going to, I guess, kind of, really push for, pro hunting at Crossin, if that's something that they're really going to, try and educate the community on, then I think we should have the opportunity to kind of put our stance out there as well.
Exactly. And I think that's what we are trying to alleviate is a splitting down the line, because I think that's exactly what we don't want to have happen.
We don't want
No.
this to make this a political event, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This
Correct.
is,
I think the two
Absolutely.
boards need to stay, or the FSA and the pro board need to stay friendly. I don't think this needs to be a political event, in my
That's right.
opinion.
Right.
Right.
that's right. So I think that's one of the reasons we want to say, this is what's going to be allowed on the tables and not allowed on the tables. And maybe that should be something, and we can talk about that at the board meeting and say, some that would have to be off limits, depending on what we come up with, what Dave wants to talk about on how we're going to move forward with this.
But I agree with Paul, if the FSA is going to be, campaigning to have the expansion of hunting into Crossin, then there would need to be arguably a counterpoint to that.
Well, I know,
unless-
I
And-
understand,
well,
and
and
that's,
look,
We
Can I-
don't even know if they are going to be campaigning for that.
does their material
that's
have to be
exact.
pre-approved like ours?
Yes,
yes, absolutely, and
Yes.
that's why. And that's
So-
why we don't any of this.
So Dawn, could I comment that, I mean, I wouldn't want to put out a big poster or something or advertise, but I thought if we had like a pre-printed brochure, if someone asks about it, we could just hand them something and say, here's our stance, or here's the pros and cons, or something like that.
Hey, guys, if you don't mind, I can, this isn't the venue to go, to promote, hunting and Crossin, or to go against it. I don't think, I think I can talk to the FSA and talk to them, I don't think they have any intention of promoting hunting in Crossin Park at this
So if you
event.
were keeping it very generic and just say, this is what the FSA is and this is what we offer.
Well, what are you advertising then, Jim? Are you advertising like memberships or something? Because you're pretty full already, right?
No, we're not full. We have a bunch of openings this year that we're gonna start calling some of the Franklin Township Franklin Township residents that are on our waiting list to see if they want to join. But yeah, it's just really an education of what we have already. We're not going to be, so like, if we can agree on this, if anything changes, if the FSA wants to do something like that, I'll bring it to the board, but I don't think that we're going to talk about cross and park hunting at all at this event.
Okay.
Okay,
This
so
way-
we can
way-
agree that that's
way-
off that's off the table.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Okay.
basically what both
I agree.
these do for the township. We're both,
That's all.
we're both.
And Paul, I know you want to try to explain it, but I just feel like I personally don't think that the fair or whatever, the event is the place to.
No, but as I stated.
But you
if
wanna
it's
be
their
prepared.
purpose, I wanted to
Yeah,
be prepared.
I mean, I think that there is a possibility that somebody's going to ask those questions, and I
Yeah,
don't
right.
think, and I don't think that it's I do think it's
We should be prepared to
we should
address
be
it
prepared for it.
verbally.
Yes, I guess yes, and to redirect people to our meetings if they want more information or whatnot.
And I would argue that should be the position of the pro, is because obviously the pro has different members have different opinions about the FSA expanding into Cross Park. We should just say, we encourage you to attend the meetings. We encourage you to attend the Board of Supervisor meetings, get involved, and you could reach out to get more information, or make sure you look at the website, and we could keep it generic like that.
Right, let them make up their own minds. We don't need to make up their mind for them.
And Jennifer and Bob, I completely agree. I would love to have it that we all would say a pat statement to that effect. Please join, come to the meetings, come meet the people. And we should all have a pat answer like that to drive the people back to getting involved and learning more about what we do.
Yes.
Attend the meetings.
Okay.
I guess I feel bad saying this, but my son has a football game that day out of state. Is there things that I could help prepare ahead of time to offer my help? I feel bad leaving you guys.
It sounds like whatever happens or whatever we make for the table is going to be pretty straightforward. We should probably, I am unsure at this point what my kid's soccer schedule, that is right in smack dab in the middle of soccer season. So, I could probably be there for a portion of the day. So I think when we get closer, we'll need to figure out, who helps at the table.
What's the time?
12 to 5, noon to 5.
Can we hand out beer? Because that'll really get them in.
Hey, we wanted one, Jim and I want wine, but we can't have wine either.
I was gonna say, Dawn, you had said the healing gardening, are they having a separate table, or would they be part of our table?
We're actually gonna have our people stationed in the garden.
Okay.
So I'll have room at I'm doing a plant swap table. So I'll have room at my table where I'm doing the plant swap to talk about the garden and stuff. So you don't have to worry about us unless you want to. You can claim.
We might just want to make sure we refer to your table.
You can yes, you can claim us, and we're also going to try to get some mums and gourds and thing from the Oxford produce market to sell too. But we auction, the produce auction, yeah. But we also have a horticulturalist we're hoping is going to do some classes, and we want to have the pickleball people there so people can try their hand at pickleball. If you know anybody that does yoga, I'm looking for somebody that would do an intro to yoga thing.
Oh, Greg had a friend that used to do it. Reach out to Greg Sachs.
Yeah, I might have somebody too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the police coming with the police cars. We have the fire truck coming and the helicopter coming.
Hey, Dawn, where is it in the park?
Well, mostly like we had it, it's going to be closer up between the tot lot, the pickleball, and right around in those areas. But the fire truck and the helicopter will have to land further down by the soccer fields. So we're trying to spread the hometown heroes out further down.
So the tables would be between pickleball and the tot lot.
Yeah, pretty much up there. We're trying to do one big tent for the main tables that we're all gonna do. So you'll probably be under a tent already. We're working on that to just rent a big tent for all of us to have.
Did you, I wasn't at your last fair. Did you put a tent there last time?
There
We
was no
didn't-
tent last year.
It wasn't that extravagant.
So I'm just concerned, Jeff, that a tent means you drive stakes and there's no way you can drive stakes over the septic field. You might have to move this on
One,
the other side of the garden.
one of the things that we talked about was spreading out the vendors along the paved path. So to get people to walk throughout the park. So we're gonna have to kind of have a plan A and a plan B. Plan A would be to bring the fire trucks and ambulances up on the fields if we don't have a week of rain ahead of time. Plan B would be they'd have to park on the asphalt somewhere. So my dream was always to have the vendors, if the weather is permissible, spread everybody out along the paved path to get people to walk so they can see the park.
Could
So
you,
if we have like
instead
a
of,
small,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just saying if we had small pop-up tents, we could use small pop-up tents like per table and spread
Yeah.
it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'd be if you guys want to do your own, that's fine. Stacy, like I said, Stacy at the office has a lot of the stuff worked on already, and Stefan is working on it with her. Like I said, I'll be out for I don't know how long, so.
So,
And
Well,
I'm also working on it as well.
Well, Paul,
and
you don't really have to drive the stakes. You can use 55-gallon
right.
drums full of water. That'll hold
Yeah.
it down.
I agree. And so Jeff would just have to make arrangements with the tent vendor to make sure they understand they can't drive stakes.
Right.
And then, but I'm also curious, why don't we just have them set up under the pavilion instead of renting a tent? Would that be
Because
possible?
we're hoping the music's gonna be under the pavilion.
Oh, okay. Okay, good answer.
Are you
They
gonna
need-
move the
they need
tables
a
out? Are you gonna move the tables out to
It
have?
totally depends on what the music who comes needs.
Okay,
The end result is if we need to, we can.
okay.
And
Is that encouraging, Bob?
Definitely gonna need to move the tables.
I was gonna say, is that encouraging? That's a yes?
I already told you that I got that covered.
I know.
I don't
Thank
back
you.
down from my promise.
I know, thank you.
Well, good luck. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot for Jeff and all of you. So good luck.
Okay, good. Well, I'm excited about that. I think that'll be good. And again, I think closer to that date, we will we'll figure out who's gonna man the table and kind of what times, who can be there when. Is that okay to move on? Everyone good on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item. So Jeff brought to my attention that several people have asked him about a map for Crossin Park, a map, kind of one of those, and I sent a picture to everyone. I don't know if you're able to share that, screen share that, Jeff?
I don't have it with me,
Okay. All right.
Andre, to be honest.
if you
Okay.
have it, Andrew, you can share if you have it.
No, I have it on a different computer, but I can probably
Oh.
find one real quick.
It was just a generic map trying to explain it, and you are here, much like you see in the malls, but for the parks.
Well, that was the intent of the maps we designed on the website to be used for that very purpose.
So
I understand.
it sounds like people are wanting that for when they're at the park. And I don't, I don't know if there's something we can, put up in several locations, maybe, at the lower pavilion over in the back, or I don't know what you call the lot we were just in, the soccer field lot fall.
Yeah,
If we could just kind of put them throughout the park, maybe do one at the top of the park near the main pavilion, the upper pavilion, and then one down, one in each of those other locations. So 3 locations maybe.
yeah, we had this conversation maybe a year ago or two, and Mary did a great job making the maps, and it was right when the bikers were building new trails, and so we wanted to get them on the new map. So I think all the trails are in or close
Well,
to.
and maybe that ties into to one of the next topics of conversation, which is what we recently talked about over at Crossan Park, which is paving a trail from the soccer field lot over to the lower pavilion. And
Yeah,
I think if that was going to happen, we would want that to happen prior to maps being made.
well, you could put it on there as a dotted line or something, say future or something,
Yeah.
One
Is
thing
it
I get
really-
reminded of quite frequently is not everybody is on the internet, Jeffrey. So they had asked for the signs and to have a couple down in on the trails too, so they have a general sense of where they're going.
Yeah, so Andrea, what you said was exactly what we said. We want 3 big ones showing you are here, the big overall picture in those 3 locations that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then down in the woods or at the intersections of the major trails, we would have a smaller one saying directionally, this way to the parking lot or this way to the soccer field. And then put markers along the trails with colors or names or something. This is the red trail or this is the soccer field trail or something like that.
Okay.
So there was a whole trail labeling effort that needs to be done. And
You guys did start that, or?
well, Mary
did.
made the maps, but then we dropped the ball and we didn't continue, which means label the trails, put up the small signs, put up the big maps. But Jeff's right. That's the next step. We need to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start digging back into it, I guess. Maybe before the next meeting, Mary, you can resend that map to everyone, and then we can discuss, updates and so forth. And is that maybe the best place to start?
Yeah, do you want the one that's Crossan and Franklin, or just the straight up park map of Crossan?
So my suggestion is to always treat them as one park together because the trails crisscross back and forth. And it lets people know that there's more than just the ones in Crossan. But, and think about where we're placing them. We're placing them along the border between the 2 parks. It would make sense to have both on there, but that's just my thought.
Okay, well, I'll send both of them and you guys can look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there boards down at those 2 locations, or do we need?
No, we need boards. There's one hunting board there that we don't own. The hunters own it, and it's pretty small. So I would want something bigger and a little bit more dressed up, like the one that Jeff sent. And that's at the lower pavilion. And then there's nothing at the upper and nothing at the soccer field. I know we can put it on the board that's mounted on the bathroom walls, but I don't actually think that's the best place. I would want a freestanding board, maybe by the water fountain or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing it.
I agree. I think people are more likely to walk up and look at it if it's not attached.
Yeah,
to the
yeah. I don't think many people notice the bulletin board.
And we can also get those metal signs made for inside the trails if you wish. Again, if it's a high resolution graphic, we could put it on a green post and kind of have it blend in as best we can.
Okay. Okay. All right. So for the next meeting, before the next meeting, we'll all get that email from Mary, and then we can kind of start making revisions and talking about next steps. Next topic of conversation is the parking lot at Crossin and
Uh,
Franklin.
We were supposed to look at that on a field trip. Like that was one of the original reasons we were supposed to meet in the field to go see that, and we didn't.
Okay, so let's visit that topic. So prior to today's meeting, several of us met out at Crossin Park. We were looking to have just a little bit of like an informational field session.
And meet and greet for Bob.
And a meet and greet for Bob. And so I think we need to plan to do that at some point. I think it's important that we all come into these meetings understanding the areas that we're discussing. For example, the path between the soccer field and the parking lot at Crossin. Jennifer and I thought it was a very different area than what Paul showed us. And so we were also able to take a look at zipline location that's been discussed at previous meetings. And so I think we need to all plan a time to meet out in the field and just review several of these things. So that one of those being the parking lot at Crossin Franklin. And so I don't know that there's anything we can do on that topic now. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Paul.
we have to discuss it, but maybe first, Jeff, is there an update? Like, did you guys already move the millings and it's already done, or is it still in piles?
We have not yet. I met with the township engineer, Ron Reagan. And right now with the millings we have, we can put them down on the existing driveway and then create approximately 6 to 8 parking spaces with the millings we have. And we would not need stormwater management, according to Mr. Reagan. If we expanded beyond that point, then we would.
Okay, well, I like that. And the lot would be approximately where the piles are now.
Yes, sir.
So does anybody on the phone like know where that is or need help finding that, or?
Could you explain to me where the millings pile is right now, where it would go, where the lot would go?
Yeah, I'll show it on Google Earth, but while I'm pulling it up, Jeff,
Go
can
ahead. Go
can
ahead,
you
Paul.
give me sharing rights?
You should have it.
So you know where the upper lot is, where the healing garden is?
Yes.
And if you're like walking past the pickleball court and tennis courts and you're going to head out the gate, in
Yep.
front of you is a dumpster.
Yeah.
You know where that dumpster is?
Yes.
Right behind the dumpster, after about 15 feet of woods, is an area where the millings are dumped, or piles of the millings are stored.
Jeff, is that where the dumpster that was located for the cleanup around that area?
No.
No, too far. Just 15, 20 feet past the dumpster is the edge of the parking lot, and the piles are about 50 feet past that.
Okay, but so as I'm coming from the township office, like I passed it before I got to the gate, the main gate.
Paul, do you want to bring up a map or do you want me to try?
Yeah.
I'm getting it. I'm opening Chesco views. It's just a little bit slow. Because I want to show property lines. So if you exit the main park entrance, if you exit that and make a right, maybe
Okay, that's where I thought.
if you make it 100 feet, there's another gate there. It's usually closed. But
It's
that's
yellow. Is it yellow? A yellow.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Andrea and I drove right by that on our way home, and there's a second gate closed.
I think there's a yellow gate like over by, and there's also just a closed gate that looks like the one that goes into the park, just, like raw metal. I don't know. Jeff, can you tell us while Paul's pulling that up, which one it's behind?
okay. So can you guys see a screen?
Yeah.
Now, if Paul,
Can you see the tennis courts and the?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pointing to the dumpster pad. I don't see a dumpster, but that's the pad there. You guys know where we are now,
Yeah.
right? And then here's the main entrance out on the Parsons Road, and here's the second entrance we're talking
Yep.
about. And there's a gate
Correct.
across here.
Yeah, there's a gate there.
And there's some trees, a little row of trees, and right behind it, I can see the piles.
Yeah.
Correct.
See them right here? So somewhere in this area, Jeff would level them out and make a field, a parking spot. And I can also see here. No, this is the trail, the biker's trail. See it mowed in the grass?
Yeah.
And it comes through the woods and exits right next to the dumpster.
So this parking lot gets created, is the gate then in, how is that access? It's from,
Oh, so that's-
from the road and.
Yeah, that's all something to discuss, Andrea, I agree, but my opinion would be we leave it locked and we use it as overflow parking for big events like Dawn's field day, or something like that.
Correct.
That's a great idea.
Just use it and then improve this trail that goes past the dumpster here so that the people could walk from their car just through the woods out past.
So they
the
wouldn't have to walk back onto the main road. They
No, yeah, we wouldn't want to do that. And then there's
Okay.
also, every time I exit the park, I look at this wooden picket fence here that follows the driveway. Do you all can picture
Yeah.
that along the trees?
Yep.
But I wonder why we have that. That was important before because we didn't own both properties. But now that we own both, I feel like it's like separating people. And if we remove that fence, maybe people would feel more like willing to explore this area over here. Like it's their park.
We
Now,
actually had Colonial Pipeline paid to have that in as part of trying to keep vandals out along the road and along the side there.
yeah, so where I was going to go, Jeff, is that this fence here is, I wouldn't remove that because that's keeping people from passing around the gate, right? And then over here, the driveway that somebody was asking about, this is the Colonial Park Pipeline driveway where we had the dumpster, Jennifer, for cleanup.
Oh, okay.
Right, and there's a gate here that Colonial installed on our behalf. But what most people do, as you can see from the tracks here, is they just drive right through here to go around the gate and then down to the driveway. So if we were really concerned about people getting into Franklin Preserve driving, we would remove the fence by the driveway and install a fence here along this, whatever it is, 100 feet. But I don't think we have a problem. I don't think we have a problem with people, doing donuts in Franklin Preserve or something. So to me, it's not a real high priority. I was just mentioning that this fence, you might consider removing it someday instead of continuing to repair it, but maybe you guys like the way it looks, maybe it's just aesthetics, that's fine too. Right, so here's the piles. We were supposed to go see them and I totally forgot. I would say we need to make a lot right here, and I agree with Jeff, let's just make it a minimal lot, so we don't have to do stormwater. And if we see a need to make it bigger, we can do that at a later time, but then we also need to improve a trail to connect people over so they can just walk across. That's it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I think it's good, especially when we experience the paving issue and,
Yeah,
and there's other events that it's a good spot to have. And then
That's-
obviously when we do cleanup and maybe do other work back there, that might be a good spot to be able to have volunteers park for cleanup and stuff.
That's where we had the people park on those, it was a seal coat. We were sealing the parking lots. Yeah, we had them park over here and walk across. I personally cut the little trail to allow people to walk across. So it wasn't a big deal, is what I'm saying, to make
Okay.
it through. Okay, back to you, Andrea. I'll stop.
No,
I
that was good.
I have a question real quick. There was a trail cutter going through Franklin, I think last weekend. Does anyone know who that was?
Yeah, probably. You mean a trail, like a guy trimming the trails?
Yeah, but it wasn't a mower.
It's just a weed whacker.
No, I mean, he was riding something.
Yeah.
He was riding something?
Yeah.
Where was this?
Right along Parsons Road on,
This?
in the wooded area where the
So-
trail goes.
Matt Thompson does all this trail maintenance. And so, every time I've seen him, he's using a weed whacker, but I wouldn't doubt it that he brought in a machine because this grassy area is a lot of mowing by hand. And so it wouldn't be surprised me if he ran some sort of machine through here because he's got grass here, and then grass here. So,
Well, my question was, is that something we could reach out for the Banffshire trail trimming?
he does a lot of trail trimming in Banffshire for me, but he's not able to keep up with it. So I'm already tapped into that resource.
Okay,
Actually-
just thinking.
Actually, he's the only other one that did the Keene Trail this year. I did it once and he did it once. Oh, no, Chris Perkins did it also. So 3 people are the only ones that mowed it this year for Keene Trail. But yeah, I use Matt a lot and he does a lot of volunteer work for us. Trail trimming.
Okay, so back to new business. The path between the soccer fields and the lower parking lot at Crossin.
Oh, well, look, I'm right here.
Yeah,
Can I say something about it?
yes, please do, yes.
All right, so if you all see, I'm not sure if my screen's keeping up, but I'll start at the upper parking lot where the bathrooms are. And you can see most people start here and walk left or right at the pavilion. And so they follow this trail through the grass. It's all paved. And then they get down to this lower area and it's a dead end in the woods. We looked at it tonight. It right here, it goes into a swampy area. Then it comes back up onto the hill and goes straight down a hill to a little bridge, and which is impossible to pave. Like if we pave something that steep, it would be very slippery for walkers, especially in the fall with wet leaves or rain or snow and ice. So my idea is to continue this paving through the woods. Well, let me back up. What people do then is because after they've experienced that one time, they don't go that way. They get off the trail at the parking lot, they walk up the road, and then once they get back here to the road, to the trail, they either get back on this trail and continue their loop, or they continue on the road back to their car. So when they do that, though, they've lost all this lower trail. They're not using it. And so I always felt like the trail was meant to go through the woods. That's the original park layout. It just was never paved. It wasn't laid out very well in the woods. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe Jeff might have a history. But I feel like if we connect here to here, see this paved trail here? It winds its way back up. We connect here to here with paved trail, it would add a much larger loop for everyone, and they don't have to walk on the road. Now, there already is trail in there, so I don't want to be accused of trying to add trails. I would actually be making a shorter trail and abandoning the original one that winds its way through the mess. So it would just be straightening it and paving it and going around the wet area instead of through the wet area. I don't want to mess with the wetlands, the wet area. It's not a wetland, it's just a big mud hole.
Paul, so what you're really saying is you're trying to put this trail in so I'm not afraid of the poison ivy anymore.
That's right. Because, and Jennifer, you're a great example. There's a lot of people that just don't want to walk off the paved trails. They want to be on pavement. And I understand that. You go out there with the little dog and your white tennis
Well,
shoes.
we witnessed it as we were leaving, as we're pulling out of the parking lot. The
Yes.
father and the daughter and the dog were terrified, and they pulled over. They stood on the side of the street and waited for us to go by. But they were using the road, which is actually not the safest place for them to be walking.
Yeah.
And with us coming out, they actually stayed and waited for us to get by. But little kids wouldn't, be as cognizant of that.
So it's always been like when I walk the trails, and I did that, I hit the dead end and I'm in a swamp. I'm like, what is this? This is terrible. And I always thought, we should finish that. We should complete that trail. So it's just always been a long-term wish list item for me. And, it's not a high priority, but I think it's a good project to get done.
Is this something that we could look into some of the grants for?
Yeah, sure. Definitely be grant worthy. Unfortunately, I've never done a paved trail, so I don't know what the cost is. I know in Goddard Park, they've paved all their trails in the upper half of the park, and I was going to contact that township and ask them what they pay per foot.
What is that distance?
Let me look. Measure distance. Oh, it's in my way. Well, somewhere around 600 feet, but that's straight. It would be windy. So let's say 1,000 feet. You know what I mean? I'm just guessing there. Oh, there we go. 540 straight, but I'm going to guess it's 800 feet then.
And Paul, you said there needs to be a footbridge.
That's correct. It's a small one. You saw the one that's there. It's 20 feet. No telephone poles. It's a Boy Scout project or an easy framing
Yeah,
project.
I was gonna say Boy Scouts would be a great project, and maybe they could
Yeah.
get the bridge in before.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but so that's it in a nutshell. I think the next step would be to find out from who's up there. Is that New London Township that has Goddard Park? No. Yeah, New London Township. How much that
Well, and
costs.
Nickel Park has all the paved trails too.
There you go. Yeah. I'd call a couple townships and ask what they budget for it, you know. So-
I know, I think we're kind of almost at the end of the agenda. Andrea, can I just add how stupid I look trying to park in the parking spaces because there's no lines?
You're calling yourself out.
Oh, could you just point out the parking lot
But
that
that is a good point. That parking lot, the lines are basically non-existent.
So you can see the work we did last year, the year before, black seal coating and lines, including the basketball court. And then down here in this parking lot, the lines are pretty much gone. And then the one that Jennifer was in, this one, the lines are pretty much gone.
And just with the minivan, I've just gotten very much in the habit, because it has a terrible blind spot, of always backing in. I'm just very much in the habit of, because with the minivan, you can't see even with the camera. So I always back in. And I was trying to back in and they were watching me. I couldn't find the lines.
Well, you know, at some point we should seal coat and put lines, or maybe just put lines as a temporary thing. We don't have so much of a crowd that we have to worry about fitting them in real tight, but it would be nice to have lines.
And you really see, if you could barely see it, the handicap spot is almost invisible down there.
Yeah, it is. Although I don't know what the handicap requirements are, but I don't know what makes that different than this side, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But maybe it's to get them to the trail. I don't know. Yeah, I think it needs painting. It's not a high priority for me, but it does need painting. It would look better.
But I was just thinking along the lines of that handicap spot. And if you continued your trail, that would be an awesome place, you know, for people who did need, you know, more accessibility.
Yeah.
Well, and I do think if we make those lower areas, or that lower area in general, more usable, maybe that helps with some of the vandalism down there. If it's, you know, if they're
more walkers.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to point out so if you want to add it as a project, Andrea, I think it's great. You know, line the parking lots. I don't think it's time for seal coating, because that'd be like 30,000. But maybe just put new lines on for, you know, they'd last 5 or 8 years or something, and then maybe it's time to seal coat and reline. I just want to point out for Jeff, we store the rake for the infield right here on this slab, and we store it with the tines facing up. And I saw a kid playing in the mulch pile next to it, and I was a little bit nervous, because if they fall over onto those tines, it's pretty ugly. You know, that would be pretty dangerous. So I don't know what to do about it. I don't know how to make it safer, if they can turn it over or put a piece of plywood over it or something. I just wanted to point out it seems dangerous.
I will ask our contractor about it.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't have a solution, Jeff. I just want to point out we might do better to be safer. I haven't noticed the trees here that were dying, Jeff, and you had that guy water them. Do you know if they survived?
There is one that I can say is doing better. We still have 2 or 3 that are struggling. But, until we started getting those torrential rains, they were being watered about every 4 days.
Okay, that's great. Well, I hope they make it. All right.
So do I. I love trees.
Okay, I'll stop talking.
Okay, okay. I think that was it. Are there any other additional topics that anyone would like to bring up? No? Okay. And then any public comment? No? Okay. Well, then I vote to, or I guess vote to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Second that, or yeah, I.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, good. Well, thank you, everyone. And I guess we'll meet again next month, but maybe in the meantime, we'll take a visit out at one of the over at Crescent Park and kind of review
Yeah.
some of the
We
areas.
should make an effort that we meet and so that each member has seen all 4 preserves and the park. Like that should be a minimum requirement to be on the pro, is that you've seen them and you get a little bit familiar with them.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait. Well, I'm sorry we adjourned already. I'm doing something illegal here, but do we have to give Jeff any direction on that parking lot, Jeff? Do we have to vote on that? Or you guys think it's okay if he just spreads the gravel? Like,
I'm gonna work with Ron Reagan and Jim, so I'm confident in what we're doing. It's not gonna be expanded above six or 8 spaces. It can't, it won't. So if we ever go into phase 2 or 3 ever, we'll come back and revisit it.
Okay.
And then, we have to do stormwater, but all of our millings this year were used on Old Schoolhouse Road.
right. Okay. Everybody all right with that? Leveling
Yeah.
out those millings?
Yes.
Can I ask one more question? I know we adjourned. It's just a question. What's the status on the Bamshire sign? Has that been installed yet, or?
Probably another week or 2.
Okay, awesome. If you just let us know, I'll drive out there next week and see if it's out, but I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, that's great news.
But one thing too, guys, I'm not trying to be picky on stuff, but I'm saying this for all of us in the pro, the FSA, the board and staff. This event on the 16th it's supposed to be a fun community event. And I would just hate for it to turn into a political nightmare on either side. So it's just something I hope we can, all of us, I'm including the FSA and the pro and all of us, just get along and have a good day.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Jeff.
Good luck, Dawn. I'm not sure what you're having done.